Welcome to the 2717 podcast. I'm Javier, an authentic wedding filmmaker.
And I'm Ashley, a passionate wedding photographer.
We're here to bring Proverbs 27:17 to the wedding industry. As iron sharpens iron,
so one person sharpens another. In this fun series, we're all about sharing experiences and building a community.
expect heartfelt stories, creative inspiration, and some amazing behind-the-scene moments.
Plus, insights from some truly inspiring guests.
Tune in to connect with us, spark your creativity,
and be a part of a supportive community.
You're listening to the 2717 podcast.
Planning your wedding isn't just about choosing a venue, it's about finding the perfect backdrop for one of the most meaningful moments of your life. That's where Juliana Estate comes in. Nestled in the heart of Lakeland, this elegant estate gives you that classic scenic charm, like a movie set, but it's all yours. Think lush greenery, romantic gardens, and plenty of room for unforgettable moments with the people you love the most. It's a place where every detail feels personal because it's not just a venue. It's where your story begins. See how Juliana Estate can make your wedding day truly yours at julianaestate.com. Thanks for sponsoring today's podcast.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Javi.
And I'm Ashley, and welcome back to the 2717 podcast. We are so excited. We have a very special guest today. Please welcome Alexandria from Lissett Luxe Makeup.
Hi.
Hey, girly pop.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing so good. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. We first want to kind of jump right in and ask how you got into the beauty industry.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so how much time do we have? Oh my gosh. I first got into the beauty industry when I graduated from high school. I was definitely that girl that was doing everyone's makeup, in high school. I would go over to my friends' house, even pick out their clothes, do their hair and all that. And so I knew I definitely had a passion for beauty, so I wanted to continue it. So after high school, I went to cosmetology school, and after that, I decided I want to do hair and makeup. After working in salons for about 2.5 years, I just came to realize hair was not my thing. You just realize you get to a point where you're like, I don't think this is working out.
Yeah.
And every time I got a makeup client in the salon, I just felt like that fire ignited within me. And I'm like, okay, I have something here. Like, I think this is really my passion and what I want to continue and drive with. So I ended up continuing that journey. After I worked in the salons, I ended up applying at Sephora at the age of 20. I grew with the company very, very quickly. I would say my third year being there, I became a district trainer.
Yeah.
So I was able to, it was such a fun job. I was able to travel, open up new stores, train new makeup artists that got hired on, teach master classes at big conferences, which was so much fun. So I was always in the new trends and everything, and being able to teach people, either when it came down to clients or even makeup artists, because Sephora used to have classes for clients. So education definitely became a huge passion for me within the beauty industry. And I stayed with Sephora for about 10 years. Throughout my journey being at Sephora, I always did makeup on the side. So I always was doing either weddings, proms, homecomings, going to people's houses, doing that. So I was building up my clientele to the point where it was me working 2 full-time jobs. Yeah. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm burning myself out. So I decided to take a leap of faith. And I prayed about it, and I was like, God, you got me. I'm just going to put all faith in you, and I have not looked back since.
Wow, that is a crazy story. That is so cool that you started with Sephora, and even just when you think of hair and makeup, especially on wedding days, you think of it as a team or more so together, and that's so cool that you were like, no, I really just want to follow with makeup because that's what I'm truly passionate about, and then you just went full force into that. That is
I think
amazing.
The best bet you can take is always on yourself. So I was like, I truly need to just lead with that. And so many people kept telling me hey, leave. Especially when you're at a corporate company, it's always oh my gosh, the pay's not going to be the same. You don't get a paycheck every 2 weeks. You don't know what the income's going to be like. Benefits, different things like that go into it, which makes it so much more realistic and harder. And so I just realized I was like, you know what? I really have to believe in myself in this moment in time. And the only person that can tell myself to do this is, me, like when I feel like it's the right feeling. So I finally felt that feeling, and I was like, this is God telling me, like, this is the sign, like, you are ready, do it now. And so, yeah, it was the best feeling and the best decision I could have ever made. And so I've been on my own solo for 3 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And like, I have to commend you because I've been following your journey for a while too, as well, just behind the scenes from when we met.
Yeah.
Just seeing the work ethic that you have, it's a no-brainer why you ended up having almost 2 full-time jobs. You had to make a decision.
Yeah.
Because the work ethic that you have, you're planting those right seeds that
Right.
later on, hey, you have a harvest of clientele of
Right.
and educating, and the passion really does show out with your business.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. It was getting to the point where I was doing like a 6 a.m. wedding in Clearwater and then hustling my butt to get to Orlando to do like an 8-hour shift at Sephora. To like stay there till like 1 a.m. because at that time I was working at Disney Springs Sephora.
Yeah.
So they stayed
Crazy
late.
busy, all the
Yeah.
late- yeah.
So
Late
I
hours,
think
all that
the first meal I had was probably like at 5 p.m. And this was like ongoing,
Wow.
no days off, because anytime I did have a day off, I was doing a wedding. So it was to the point where I was like, oh no, I gotta figure something out.
But again,
Yeah.
it's a testament in the beginning stage. I think you did it the right way, where my journey was so different.
Really?
Where I just straight out of college, graduated, and I just kind of really went right into it.
Yeah.
So I didn't have like that transition, that flow. I
Yeah.
just went in, had a couple good months, and then, I need to figure this out quickly
Yeah.
because I'm getting married.
Yeah.
You said and quickly.
And that's how it was. I had to quickly figure it out. And luckily I did 8 years now into
Yeah.
it. But seeing your journey, how you were able to transition is what I always will recommend to other creatives who are
Yeah.
looking to be professionals in the wedding industry is, hey, have that job and then start building your business slowly but little.
Right.
Where then you can transition out and not have to have that worry and stress because you already put in the work.
Right.
And it was starting to, that harvest was coming in.
Oh, it was. It was. When I was getting to a point where I was having to deny a lot of bookings, and I'm like, ooh, if I would have took these, if I didn't work here and I would have had them, this would have been income I could have already had. And then I started outweighing, and I'm like, because at that point, I was like, will I be able to make enough? And the numbers didn't look quite there yet, but I'm like, but if I had the time and didn't have like this 9-to-5 job, and I had the time to be able to market myself and advertise and all that, and had more time to make content for social media, I feel like I could be able to double it. And so that's what ended up happening. It was like I had the time, because when it got to the last month of me being there at Sephora, like I was like checked out. I was like on my break doing bridal calls, sending proposals. Like I was like, okay, the sign is here.
It's time.
This is a lot. It's time. It's time. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
thank you.
And through that, that journey, that process, how were you now like able to develop your client experience? Like like when someone inquires with you to the wedding day, how does that look like?
So when they first inquire, I would have to say my experience is a lot different. I kind of put myself like if I was a bride inquiring, and I feel like sometimes when you are in the wedding industry, it's very, very professional, and which is great. But I feel like sometimes the personality of the vendor gets a little lost. So I feel like it's really important to still have that connection of the personality throughout the bridal process, especially when it first starts of the client inquiring, to be able to have them actually get to know like who the wedding vendor is. So for me, they really get to start to see my personality, just like with the words that I use, when they first inquire, and just also the things that I even send them of like the knowledge of like, hey, this is how the process is going to be like, starting with like the questionnaire to be able to start brainstorming like their look. So I would say that definitely helps. And then when it comes to meeting my bride, I usually meet them 3 to 4 months prior to their wedding date if they haven't booked any other glam sessions prior to that. And that's where we have a lot of fun. I would say that is where the
Yes.
magic happens. Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, usually that is a lengthy day. Usually we're together for almost 3 hours. Like there's a lot of work that goes into it because I would have to say every single wedding day that I have with my brides, as far as the glam part, it always goes smooth. Like 100%. Like that is what I can be able to guarantee. And it's because of me putting so much prep and detail into the preview of what they experience that there is no question of how the day is going to be when their glam session comes around. Yeah. So it's only focused on making their wedding day morning like so exciting, like making them just feel so good about themselves, so beautiful, and honestly like a celebrity. Yeah.
I love that. No, I love that personal connection, and I feel like that super shows throughout the process too, especially from a photographer standpoint. I totally agree with you on like getting to know them personally and like really replicating who you are into all of your guides and your emails and, you know, your word choice and all of that stuff helps them get to know you. So then when they come in for that probably bridal session or like that trial run, they feel super like at peace because they already know. Like it feels like they already know you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And honestly, that's what they say too. I do a lot of content creating. That's one of the ways that I've been able to build so much more of my clientele is through social media. So that's honestly one of the things that they say right when they walk in my studio. They're like, I feel like I already know you. Like, I already know what you did yesterday. I already know what you did last week. I know what your favorite product is right now.
Yes.
And so they're like, I just have like this just good feeling. And yeah, I feel like we're already friends. And it just, hearing those words from them just makes me feel so good because that's how I want my brides to be able to feel is true comfort, especially because not everyone is a beauty makeup lover, you know? So coming into the world of beauty and makeup, it's sometimes a little intimidating and very overwhelming. So for them to already feel like that, it's just so much more easy when it comes to creating their custom look because there's already that trust that's there too.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say is the like how important is it to do a trial run first? Like
it's a non-negotiable. It's a non-negotiable.
Period.
Okay, non-negotiable. So as far as my bridal booking and my bridal process with my brides, it's literally a non-negotiable. Like they have to have a bridal preview, bridal trial. It's a must. I have been in the bridal industry for over 12 years. I used to do in my early days weddings that had no bridal trial. And then I noticed when I had brides that had the bridal trial, it was just a completely different experience. And there were so many things that went wrong when it came to the brides that didn't have bridal trials. And I was like, I don't want to feel like this again. You almost feel like not prepared.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? And so I always like to be able to feel prepared, especially going into like any job or gig that I'm doing. So for me, it's like I have to be able to know like who this person is, how they are and everything. And then also their preferences of makeup style of what they like.
Yeah.
Especially if they're completely new to makeup. I feel like we need to spend a lot more time together because I'm having to explain a lot more things to them so they can be able to understand and feel comfortable.
I love that you take the time to get to know your couples and wanting them to know you, who you are, and the way that you share that through the specific wordings that you use. That's something that I harp on my couples like entirely. If you inquire with me, I want to schedule a call. I want to get to know you before we even talk numbers, talk about packages and offerings, because that's part of the steps, part of to making sure that's a good chemistry, that I can tell your story properly, authentically, and if this, will fit very well. Budget, of course, is important and is of concern. That's why I put it on my website, like, hey, this is our average investment where, couples and packages start, just to get that out the way, but focusing on the relationship aspect, especially your creative team. Like, for example, you're doing their makeup. They're going to have this makeup on their photos and their videos.
For the rest of their life.
Exactly, right?
Everywhere.
So you want to make sure you know the person that you can trust to have them do their makeup, take their photos, and tell their videos. So that's a huge thing that I love that you're taking that time and being very intentional about that. And couples, please reach out to your vendors, have a call with them. whether it be a phone call or a video call, get to know who they are. And honestly, even I would recommend to every vendor for the most part.
Yeah.
Like even a caterer, for example.
Yeah.
You want to get to know, hey, do they have a friendly attitude? Are they willing to serve your family and
Yeah.
friends? Be a team player at the wedding. Like it's huge.
It is huge because there's been some brides that have hired vendors who have told me, I have not even talked to so and so ever.
Yeah.
I haven't even talked to so and so ever, and my wedding's in like 2 months. And I'm like, wow. They were like, I just talked to them through email, and it was just very standard, very streamlined, and then that was it. And so you kind of feel on the edge, you know, being a bride, because you're like, are they going to show up? Are they going to come? You know what I'm saying? So when you do get to know them in the beginning and everything, and also being able to see them on social medias and everything, if they are somebody that posts a lot and like does content creating, you can definitely be able to get to know them in that way as well too, which is really important.
Yeah. And it just makes the day go more seamless too. Like
It
when you're
does.
connecting with everyone that is in your space on a very stressful morning.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to be so nice. Like you're going to be like, oh, this is Javier, the videographer. And like,
Yes.
this is, you know, Alexandria, and she's
Yes.
doing my makeup. And like, you know what I mean? So it's like, just like having that calming presence on a very stressful morning where like those nerves are going to come creeping in. You're going
Right.
to want those vendors that are like, hey, we're here. We got you. We're going to make this day
Exactly.
go seamless, and it's all going to work. Like, it's all going to be good.
And being a makeup artist, like I'm pretty much the first vendor that brides see
Yeah.
their wedding morning. So it's a big responsibility for me to be able to set the tone and the presence for how that bride's day is going to start.
Yeah. Can I pick your brain on how you do that?
Yes. So I am someone that definitely has like a bubbly, like positive, like energy. So I immediately always text him like, good morning, it's wedding day. You know, right when they open up the door, I'm like screaming like, girl, it's your day. But if I see if she has a little sleepies, then I'm like, it's your day, you know, so I just always got to like gauge it of like, you know, how the bride is. And yeah, just coming in with just like warm, welcoming, like energy. They're always so excited. They're like, girl, I cannot wait for this glam to be on my face again, you know?
Yes.
So
From your trial?
Yes. And then if they don't have any music playing, I automatically just get my phone on like, you know, Spotify, and I just start playing some tunes. I'm like, you know, at that point, I already know like who my bride loves listening to, so I can be able to put Sabrina Carpenter on,
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, you know, whoever it is, and just to get the energy like flowing until like her playlist comes on, or I'll just keep mine on.
Yeah.
And already that just sets such a great mood. And then
yeah.
just meeting the bridesmaids too, like I definitely have open body language with all of them, and I'm just, you know, saying hello, introducing myself, which is really important, because sometimes I see that the bridesmaids don't get saying, like some of them
Yeah.
are not saying hi to, you know, like the vendors come in and they just kind of look at the bride and then they just keep it going. And it's like, no, like say hi to them too,
Yeah.
because they're a part of the day as well. And so it
Yeah.
makes them feel like super special
For sure.
too, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah. And after that, it's pretty much smooth sailing. If there happens to be, you know, a hiccup where the bride ends up starting to feel like super nervous, I do have essential oils and I do breathing techniques with my bride to be able to get her like calm.
Yeah.
So that has came into play many of times.
Yeah.
And it's something that my brides that I've had in the past cherish till this day, because they're like, you don't know, that simple thing like made me center, like, you know, again, because I was starting to spiral.
Going crazy in my brain.
I was starting to get it, and I was like, no, I got you. So yeah, it's like little touches like that that I really like to make like very personal to the
Yeah.
experience, because to me, I
Yeah.
think it's more than just the glam. It's about the experience that you're creating. And I truly, truly want my bride to honestly feel like a celebrity on her day, where she's not having to worry about anything. Like she
Yeah.
hired all these wedding vendors to be able to make her day as smooth as possible. So definitely being someone that's in the morning time with her, I want to make sure that I can be able to attribute to that.
Definitely. And that's what sets you apart too.
Right.
Of like having all of those things in your back pocket of like, all right, we're going to do this right now, and we're going to have this like emotional connection. They're going to
Yeah.
remember that like all the time too.
Yeah.
So just as much as the glam. So
Right.
so personal. I love it.
And they'll keep coming right back to you for any other life events, any other moments, or photo shoots or anything. They'll be right back to you.
Yes.
Do it all, girl.
Definitely. They'll be like, it's that time. I'm having a baby, or it's the 1 year anniversary.
Oh,
yeah.
that's the sweetest.
Yeah.
I love it. The other thing I wanted to commend you on is really content creation, but also then talking to other vendors who are watching this, is that creating content is so important.
Yes.
Sharing what you do, how your process and how that looks like, and sharing your personality, honestly, really helps making the booking process and finding you way easier, where the bride can connect with you, or even other vendors that want to reach out and say, hey, can we partner up on something?
Yes.
That they have the accessibility to you from that.
Definitely. It's definitely another job within itself. But it is very, very rewarding. And it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to do.
And it sets you apart, because now within that content creation, you're marketing your services.
For sure.
You're showing your experience, your talent as well, and everything. It just encompasses it. And it is added extra work. And I know as a videographer myself, where it's like, if I want to create content, I got to like do it at a high level. If not, I don't feel like, okay, I'm a videographer. My content should be looking like this, not like that.
Do you feel like that though?
Oh, very much so.
Really?
Like if I want to create anything, it has to be really good, because I am a videographer.
Right.
I don't have the excuse. I could make an excuse, but I feel like I have to do it at a high level.
But I feel like seeing more of the raw moments in the BTS, I think that would make it so much more original. Like if you did that, because then it's people watching it through your actual POV versus it being like how you already do it for your job. You know what I'm saying? It's more of that insight, more of that like detail that they're able to like see.
You know what? Speaking to that, what's been your experience that you found to be successful when it comes to just creating content, whether it be POV style or educational? Like, what's your approach when it comes to that?
It's a lot of layers. That's a very layered question. So I would have to say definitely trends come and go, but I would say always stay true to who you are and showcase your authentic self, because that is what's going to make you go viral. That is what's going to make you be seen. I feel like the market is so saturated on social media, and it kind of gets people very overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, like so-and-so posted this, now maybe I have to post this, different things like that. But if you stay really true to who yourself is, and you figure out a plan of how you want people to be able to perceive your brand and what your brand actually is, I feel like that itself would just have you go so far. And that is what I always strive to do on my own. Like, yeah, I'll be on some of the trends that are, coming on and stuff, but I still want to be able to make sure that my personality, my brand, and everything that of the values that I have is definitely shown through. And I feel like that's what sets me apart, and that's what gets a lot of people to be able to hit that follow button and also hit that book button, to be able to send in the inquiry and everything, because they're like, oh wait, she's different. Like, I connect with her. Like, wow, yeah, I agree. That is true. I like that. Ooh, I like how she said that. Or I love that glam look that she did and the way she showed it. So different things like that, I feel like is really what's going to be able to get people to really resonate with it.
I love that. So I'm gonna ask you a follow-up question.
Okay. Okay.
Well, what does it look like in content wise? Like if you were to put a structure or some type of structure, what would that kind of look like?
Okay.
It doesn't. It could be for you how you're doing it now.
Yeah.
Or you can give me like a recipe for me.
Okay. Okay.
Like, actually, please write me a plan.
So I definitely write down in my notes ideas that come up. I feel like we're always being creatives. We always have a time of the month where our juices are really flowing, And I feel like that's the most important time to be able to take advantage of when our minds are like that, because we can't always be creative like every single day of the month. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We need a rest day. So I feel like when you do have that opportunity where your juices are flowing, that's when you should just start writing out as many things that's coming up. There's
Yeah.
some
Oh, that's
times
so
where
good.
I'm leaving a wedding and I think of something and I'm like, let me just put this down real quick and come back to it. And that's usually, and those are the most authentic videos that end up going really well. It's because of you thinking of those things that end up like where you actually think of it and it actually ends up hitting really well. So once you've made a list, then I personally have a whiteboard calendar. So I actually write down the days that I'm going to film those videos. And what I absolutely love doing is I love batching. Yeah. So I feel like that is something that is very important. If you don't batch, please start batching. Okay, it's going to save you so much time. So, for instance, let's just say I'm at a wedding and I want to be able to film my whole day of how it goes. I will probably juice out 4 to 5 videos of that day to then have as batch content to then be able to post throughout my social media and still have value for each thing that's posted on there. Yeah. And that's basically how I'm able to be able to create as much content as I do with still having it be well received with my audience. Right. So even posting on my stories is super important. So I try to make my stories a little different. I try to make my stories more of a BTS than an actual reel. So sometimes when you see the reels, it's like, oh, wow, this is a BTS of her day. But if you actually watch the stories, it's more of a BTS of the BTS.
Of the BTS. Yeah,
and
well,
they
that's cool.
love
That's
that.
super fun. Yeah, that's so fun, though.
And my followers love it. And that's where I get really like engaged with them and I really get to be able to know them. And I'll do like questions and different things like that, asking them things. Because I feel like it's really important to be able to know your audience to then be able to have the ideas of what to post.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you just go off of nothing and you're just like, what do they want to see? You know, it's like it's endless of what it is. So I feel like if you are someone that's struggling with content creating, you need to start talking to your audience and finding out what exactly it is that they like. Start posting like questionnaires or something on your stories to be able to really get to know them, and then post engaging content to have them comment in the comments. And that is what's going to start the wheels turning in your mind of what ideas to come up with for your content.
Yeah, and really locating like what your target audience is. Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Javi and I have talked about this a bunch where we're like, am I drawing to other creatives? Am I drawing to other wedding vendors? Or am I drawing to my clients? Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
no,
so
honestly,
it's so important.
And for me, it's 50-50. So 50% of my followers are artists and the other 50% are clients. So I really have to balance out the type of content that I create because I don't want to do too much of one versus too much of the other. Like I really want to make sure that my audience is like happy with what they're receiving. So whenever I'm coming up with the ideas, I really want to make sure, okay, like this will be great for makeup artists. This will be great for clients.
Yeah.
You know, so it's good that I have something that's happy in the middle, and that's usually like the education stuff because I feel like clients can be able to learn from that, and then also makeup artists as well too, which is more of what I'm starting to post on my socials, which is good.
Oh, I love that. And like execution is everything, right? You can have all these ideas, but if you don't execute on them, they'll never come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think that's really good that you said the notes thing. I was like, okay,
Absolutely.
right in my notes.
Yeah.
Like me taking notes right now. I'm like, okay.
Have you found that the executing part to always be easy for you in that process of creating the content? Or like, are there sometimes barriers for that content creation that you're like, okay, I need to break down this wall to be able to create and be able to share and market?
Right. So I feel like the barrier sometimes that I've had in the past is like, oh my gosh, everyone's going to be watching me like put this tripod up and film, you know? And it's like, hi. So I feel like once I got over that, then it was just like smooth sailing. And then also I feel like is making sure that you have time to be able to film. So for instance, when it comes to someone's wedding day, I don't make her day, the bride's day, about content creating.
So good.
I really, really want to make sure that my bride is feeling like she is the focus, because she is my priority. So what I like to do is I bring a tripod and I make sure that where I set it can be somewhere that can be able to get most of the things that I need. And if I need to move it maybe a second or third time, then it is okay, and it won't take away from the bride feeling like, is she just focusing on her iPhone and what she's capturing, you know?
Yeah.
And I also make time in the timeline to be able to capture the videos, because I don't want the time of capturing to interfere with the bride's experience, and same with the bridal party.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that's like super important, to be able to have like buffer time in your timeline. So in case things happen, you're still able to get what you need, but then also you're still making your clients a priority, which is super important.
Absolutely.
For sure. Circling back to like, it is all about you know what I mean? I feel like we get caught up in that too, because we all are like business owners and small business owners and stuff, and we focus on like, okay, this would be so good for a reel or whatever, but it's like, we also got to focus back on the couple as well, of like, it's their day and their priority, you know
Definitely,
what I mean? Over us.
definitely. Having a tripod is handy.
Yes.
A tripod is very handy, okay? Because you don't have to think about it.
Yes.
It's just on there. It's getting it for you, so
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about, and then there's that new thing where, I don't know if you guys saw it, where if you have an Apple Watch, you can be able to have the screen sharing from your iPhone, so you can already see what you're recording and stuff.
Yeah.
You can just be able to stop it on there
Oh, that's
without
so
having
nice.
to keep going back to your phone, which is very, very helpful.
Yeah.
And to make the bride feel still good.
Yeah. And even in the like creative world too, there's been so many wedding vendors that I've seen that have the meta glasses. Have you seen all of those where they where they're filming and they like have their camera and stuff like that, and they like, it's a crazy thing. I was like, the vendor table does that all the time. I see them do it and I'm like, yours are so cool. And they talk about it on their podcast. They're like Meta Glasses sponsor us, and it's like they just wear the glasses and get content all day, but it's really behind the scenes, because like if you have like the live view on the the live view on the camera and like stuff like that.
I need those. I need them, man.
That would be really cool,
the thing with
especially
me,
working into that.
I work with so many cameras, like on a wedding day, that having to work another camera just becomes overwhelming.
It does, yeah.
Because I'm already worried about the audio, sound, lighting, the camera, and then also making sure I give a good experience to the couple.
Right.
Where it's like, okay, that's another thing I got to do.
Yeah.
And
No,
I'm sure
it's
I can
true.
delegate it, but ultimately, I want to make sure I got a good frame or a good content there, which I am trying my best to do and capture those.
And I
so.
see you're getting real good. You're getting so good.
I'm excited. I got some ideas that I threw out to Ashley this morning, where I want to, after every film I make, is show the craftsmanship that went behind it.
I love that.
So the editing portion is really where everything comes together.
Mm-hmm.
And so when putting these films, like, nobody knows how much time is spent on just a minute or even a few seconds of the film.
Yeah.
That I actually spend a whole hour to fix things or make things look different or pop. And I want to be able to show the work that's really put into it.
You should.
Where couples can appreciate that and see like, wow, every film he has is very intentional.
Yes.
Every little single thing. And then also speaking on how I overcome those obstacles.
Right.
That would speak to other videographers and creatives where it's like, well, I didn't know of that. Like, this could help. And then also give insight to me and continue learning.
Yep.
And, I provide value. They can provide some value. And then ultimately the couple can appreciate. It's like, wow, he's really dedicated to his craft.
Absolutely. And I feel like that definitely adds more value to your business, being able to showcase that. Because there was a stories that you posted where you showed the layers of what went in. Yeah. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I cannot imagine how long that took you. Because I was in TV production when I was like 10 through middle school and then a little bit of high school. So I honestly can appreciate that so much. And when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like this is...
It's insane because
it is crazy.
This is legit.
You see the layers, but in each clip or audio, whatever it may be, like there's so much work done into that too as well that people don't know about. It's
right.
Like, I can't wait to like speak about it and share a little bit more. It's like, hey, when you're hiring me, I don't label myself as a videographer. It's like, no, I'm more of a cinematographer.
Yeah.
Because I'm capturing and trying to tell a story of film.
Yes.
I'm not trying to just capture your day and recreate your day. I'm trying to tell a story.
Yes.
And where are the narrative and how that plays into pieces. And I've had some great conversations with couples where they've watched my films and they're like, wow, like, it feels like a movie. It feels like I'm watching today, but it feels true to who they are. And each film doesn't feel the same way, which I love. And I'm like, that's what I'm calling out to.
I literally just got an idea for a video that you could do.
I love it. Let's go.
If you did audio of being on a discovery call with the client, being able to listen to them and getting to know them, and as the audio is playing, you are actually creating their video. So then at the very, and you are making their story.
Yeah.
And you can even show like the day of you capturing it, and then how you go back and how you're actually at the computer, your POV, and how you're putting everything together as you're listening to their audio of like their whole story. And then at the very end, you saying something like, oh my God, I'm so happy and I cannot wait to capture this. And then at the very end, like it shows, you know,
everything.
That would be so good.
That would be legendary.
So this is a little insight to my process.
No one take that. This is his. This is his idea.
But I love it though, because
He's gonna make it before this is out.
I already have some of those pieces.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
It's copyrighted.
Yes.
Trademark too.
Trademark it.
It's copyrighted.
It's original here, okay?
Yeah,
it's a
and that
2717
could be a series
podcast.
too for you.
Yo, so the cool thing is every final call I do with the bride and groom is recorded. And so the last few consults, the final consults I've had to prepare for the wedding, we go over a creative questionnaire together.
Okay.
And they gave me some amazing insight, like one of what they appreciate about me and my work and how I do things, but also the things that they were looking for. So I had one bride say, like, I don't understand why some people don't like to have speeches into their videos. It feels like it tells a story. It's what makes everything in. And I was just glowing up because that's exactly the point. The speeches are meant to highlight the bride and groom either separately or together as a unit. And then your vows is meant to talk about one another and the things that you appreciate, the characteristics. And then the officiant really speaks about this day, what this means, what this represents, this marriage. And those elements help create who they are. And then you can add other things like interviews to, you know, either enhance that moment or whatever they're describing about the couple, or just add a fun element to a raw, authentic element to it. And that just made me glow up so much because the bride like sees that and they're like, I love that. I love what you do, how you tell the stories. And I also mic up the bride and grooms all day so I can capture some raw, authentic moments.
Oh, I love that.
And so each film, I want it to feel like the quality is the movie, right? The authenticity is their story.
Right.
And then lastly, the relationship is with them, but also with me, and like them letting me into it. And that vulnerability. When they share about their story, how they got together, it's like, okay, this is an intimate story, intimate moment. I appreciate you for letting me in and getting to know more about your relationship. Now I'm really inspired. I'm emotionally attached to you, and I'm ready to create.
Yeah.
That's how it starts.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love that. Wow. That's so beautiful.
I was going to say, I love the way that you produce because of that aspect of things. I always say that to my clients. I'm like, your day, that's the beautiful thing about weddings. Your day is going to be so different than somebody else's day because your unique story, your family, your friends, it's all different. So why would you want a cookie cutter video, or why would you want a cookie cutter like makeup look when you could get something that's like so authentic
custom
to you?
Yeah.
Or like a wedding gallery or anything like that. Like, that's the most beautiful thing about weddings is you can do literally anything you want because it is your day and it is all about you, and we're just here to make it happen, capture it, like, and tell a story through that. Why would you want a cookie cutter video when you can have like something like a movie that's like fully about your story because you deserve that?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And you get goosebumps from watching.
Exactly.
You
And
know?
it's timeless. You appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like that was us in that moment in time.
Yeah.
And you can share it to your future family, your family and friends.
Yep.
And, you know, it's a moment to celebrate that love together.
Yes.
What advice do you have for your couples? Like, I know for me, hey, let me into your relationship. It's emotional transaction, getting to know more about you. But what advice do you give to your bride specifically when it comes to preparing for hiring you for their wedding day?
I love that. So I would definitely say one of the most important things is to be able to experience professional glam makeup prior to your bridal trial.
Yeah.
So if you have not experienced professional makeup, that is something that I ask in my inquiry to be able to see exactly like, okay, have they experienced this before? Have they not? Because if they have, then they kind of already know what's to be a little expected in the glam process. If they haven't, then this is the time where they can be able to take advantage of that. And if they say that they have not, then I would definitely welcome them to be able to book me for their engagement glam, for their engagement shoot. That way they can be able to kind of already see a glimpse of what it would be like if they hired me as their makeup artist. It's not a bridal trial. It's just to be able to experience an actual glam service with me, to be able to actually see, okay, this is what it's like to be able to have this type of look on, because I specialize in HD glam, which is actually going to be able to be seen the same in person and on camera, whether it be in your photos and also in your videos. So with that type of glam, the application and techniques are going to be different than your everyday makeup. And that is something that I always have to be able to explain to brides that are completely new to wearing makeup. Because the Hailey Bieber, Sophia Richie, the little tinted moisturizer, the little tap of, cream blush, lip tint, it's not going to show well in your photos or your videos. It's going to look like you're absolutely wearing nothing on. So if you want something that looks similar to that, you definitely have to have more makeup on. And more makeup doesn't mean heavy makeup. And I feel like that is a myth.
Right.
They
Yeah.
think,
Ooh,
oh my
that's
God,
good.
it's cakey, like it's too much. No, it's not like that. I feel like if your skin is on point, the glam is going to be on point.
Yeah.
The skin is the
Ooh,
canvas.
yeah. So good.
I always, once my brides have been onboarded with me, we go right into their skin prep journey. And it's custom to every bride. It's not the same because everyone's skin is different. I'm a makeup artist that definitely prides on skin prep. I do 7 to 8 steps on each of my clients, including my brides, before we even get into makeup, just in skincare alone.
Yeah,
I probably
so
spend
important.
at least like 15 to 25 minutes just in skincare alone, because that is the foundation of how well the glam is going to look and how long it's going to wear and how it's going to perform. So it's those little details like that that I feel like that really sets me apart, and that bride sees like, oh, wow, okay, there is so much value here with what I'm receiving. And I feel like that's what definitely makes our bridal journey super special together.
That's beautiful. Being intentional every step of the process. That's huge. And I appreciate you give us insight too as well when it comes to that. To be honest, I really don't know how much about makeup and how that
okay.
process looks like.
You don't.
I do not. Obviously.
You come during the end when I'm doing the final touches.
Exactly.
Put the lip on again.
I just say, hey, I'm showing up. I'm here with the camera.
Yep.
And I'm just directing you at times.
Yep.
But honestly, that's very insightful, because every time we work together, when I'm filming, I can tell when I'm going back and editing, coloring, it's like, oh, I don't have to add much contrast or anything to the image or anything.
Right.
Because it's already popping. It's already there. So there's less work on me when it comes to editing and color grading.
Yes.
That, oh, wow, this is beautiful.
Yeah. And honestly, that is such a definitely something that I appreciate when I hear from videographers and photographers, is because I will receive DMs from them and say, hey, I just want to let you know, like, I barely had to do any retouches or no retouches at all to the glam that you did because of how it looks on camera.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you, and I'm keeping your info, and I'm recommending you to more brides because this was awesome. And yeah, I'm happy to be able to do that, because I feel like it makes us work better all together. So yeah.
Agree. And honestly, it's I love that we started this podcast together, because we're getting to get more insight and how other vendors play a role to make the day seamless as a whole, and how it really, like, for example, as a videographer, I'm worried about, how does the image look, the storytelling, capture some raw moments and stuff. But then glamming up the bride, making sure she looks beautiful, the bridesmaids, if you have a team with you, it just translates well on camera, makes my job easier, makes
it helps
your job
produce,
easier
yeah.
for photography, is producing the quality,
yeah.
right? And it ups my work too as well. And then if you have a planner that, timeline's organized very well, everything's planned out perfectly, it elevates your experience even more for the bride and our experience too as well. It all plays a unit.
Yes.
Yeah, and it helps so much too when the bride feels so good about themselves too.
Yes.
Like that's gonna replicate for us creatives too. Like when she feels good and confident and she's like, oh, I look so pretty, and like my makeup turned out exactly how I wanted. She's gonna replicate that and bring that joy throughout the whole day.
Yes.
I couldn't agree more. You can literally see how their shoulders go down, And
they get the serve.
Yes, they'll just start, serving looks. And
I'm like,
you're like,
okay,
yes. You're like, wow, yes, this is perfect.
And they'll love their team.
Yeah, it starts from the whole beginning of the process of everything.
Absolutely. Yes.
What would you say is your biggest tip when it comes to bridal makeup? Like what's the biggest thing?
I would have to say the biggest tip would be finding inspo photos on the makeup artist's social media, whether it be them posting on Facebook, TikTok, social media. Find the inspo photos through your actual vendor, because that is their custom creations. Like that is where it is the most authentic. And also, when you are hiring that vendor, you're hiring for them for that work. So it's really, really important to be able to know that you guys are a good fit, because if you are loving everything that they're posting, you align with everything that they are as far as like all the work that they're showing, then that's when you know, okay, this is a perfect match. Because I find that when brides bring in inspo photos, I can definitely be able to create anything that I see, which I'm very fortunate to be able to have. It's something that is not really much of a challenge for me, but I feel like I definitely have like a signature like style and look, and that's what I definitely showcase on my Instagram. So being able to have brides come in and show me my work as their inspo, it just brings me so much joy. It's like, wow, I created this. Yeah. You love it and you want this for your wedding day. And at the end of the day, like they're still going to have a custom look, because maybe their eye color isn't the same, or their, skin tone is not the same, So I definitely make those adjustments so it's perfect for them. But it is also helpful too. Another tip is finding inspo photos of people that look similar to you to be able to envision yourself more wearing that look. So if you are someone that is more on the fair side, maybe finding photos that have models that are more fair or clients that are more fair. If you have blue eyes, finding images with, clients that have blue eyes, blonde hair, like all those features definitely come into play with the colors and tones that you choose for the makeup look. So it is really important, and it's really helpful too, because then you have a better idea of like what to expect and how it's going to look like on you.
Yeah, absolutely. And with how big Pinterest is in the wedding industry as well,
gosh.
like
Yes.
I totally get it and everything.
Yes.
But then when like clients come to me and they're like, your Instagram feed is exactly like my Pinterest board, or like it's exactly what I want. I'm always like, oh, I send you hearts.
Yes.
I love you.
Love you. Yes.
You're my favorite.
Yes.
But it just brings you so much joy too. It's like just with what you said. It's like
it does.
It's me, and I did that. And it's like you are hiring me. I'm gonna be there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like
yeah. And I feel like think of it like, our Instagram profiles are our own Pinterest. So that is where you should be able to find your looks.
Yeah.
Because
so
when you go on actual Pinterest and you type up like bridal makeup, I would say literally like 95% of those photos are all photoshopped and all retouched. So it's not realistic at all. All of my work that I post, there is no filter whatsoever. That's exactly coming off of the camera roll. So they can be able to see like true skin, true tones, true colors of what it looks like, true saturation of like, oh, that's how dark, or that's how intense, or that's how light it is, The blend. They actually see those elements in my makeup and in my work. that you can't really see off of Pinterest because everything is just so smooth.
Yeah, or it's the photographer's like, and they have their editing and stuff that they do to it and stuff like that too. So yeah, I love that point too. That's huge.
Yes, definitely.
With like knowing terminology too, like the client's not like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like whenever I look on Pinterest, or like whenever I hear anybody, they're like, I want this really natural look, but it's like a glam, like, or like stuff like that where like people just get missed like terminology. You look and you're like,
yes.
It's like I find that I do that a lot at the hairdresser. I'm like, I really like this like cool tone, and my hairdresser was like, that's warm, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so glad you brought that up. So when I do my preview sessions with my brides, one thing, when they show me like the inspo photos that they have, I ask them, what are those colors to you?
Yeah. Ooh, that's so good. Yeah.
So I want to see it from their POV, because what might be warm to me might be cool to them,
right,
or neutral to them, you know? And the last thing I want to do is, you know, tell them, oh, that is not warm, or that is not cool, you know? Because
approaching it from like well, okay, wait, why do you like that, or how,
exactly,
like all that stuff.
Yes. And I feel like the brides that I have that are not comfortable with, you know, makeup, or they're new to it or anything like that, like this really helps to break that barrier with them, because my studio is definitely like a safe space, you know, for them to be able to articulate their thoughts of exactly like what they're wanting. And I'm there to be able to really pull it out of them, to be able to make them feel very comfortable, to then start having the wheels turn in my head to be able to start creating their custom look.
It breaks it down to be like knowledgeable, or not knowledgeable, understandable.
Exactly. Yes. And I would say a good amount of the clients that I have are makeup lovers, so they love glam, you know, but I do have, I would say, still a good chunk that are not used to it, but still want to look absolutely gorgeous like on their wedding day. So being able to know how to talk to each of them on a different level where they both feel good, that type of bride both still feels good, is something that's like super important.
Yeah, I love that. It's so important, I feel like.
The whole reason we started the podcast was really just to give it more of an in-depth insight who we are.
Yes.
And bring, you know, create a platform to the unknown, to other creators that maybe have not spoken on a podcast, and shine light on them and the great work that they're doing. And that's the purpose of this, just to have a real conversation, get to know one another, get insight from the business. And ultimately for us, our goal is to add value to a couple and also to a vendor.
I love that.
Yeah. And everyone has their own like value that they bring to everything that they do. You know what I mean? Like I know things that other people might not know, and they know things, like you're constantly learning new things every day. And it's just, even here, I'm like, ooh, makeup stuff. I'm so excited.
And our journey is just so different. Like,
yeah,
you know, as vendors, like sometimes, like for me as a videographer, like throughout the week, I'm editing, doing other work, things for the business,
right,
wedding, and then weekends, the weddings. But like, I want to get to know those other vendors that were there. Like, especially you connect with them really quick and had a good vibe going on. It's like, hey, I want to carry on this conversation, get to know more about your business and what you're doing. Obviously you can follow them on Instagram, but that's only gives you certain access, right?
Right.
And so when you're sitting down, having a real conversation, you get to get the real aspect and get the real value that they provide.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love
real
that.
Deep.
It's been a really fun journey, because it's like it gives us a platform.
Yeah.
And start, hey, couples, and educating couples is the main thing I really want to do with this. Is it's like, hey, like get to know your vendors, take the time, because we all get ghosted at some point, or they don't reply. And like, hey, it's okay to tell us no. We get more no's than we get yeses.
Right.
You know,
it's true.
So you tell us no, hey, that's fine. We can move on. But if you're going to take the chance on me, get to know who I am, have a conversation, we can walk you through this experience, right? And I will say this, every vendor has a different price point, and at a certain price point, the priority kind of shifts, right? For example, if you're beginning and your price is serving a certain market, it's like, hey, it's probably going to be a little bit more transactional experience, very much. But then once you start growing in your tier, becoming a really good industry leader per se, it's like, hey, now it's not just about the transaction, it's also about the experience.
Right.
and that experience part is where we're focusing on,
Yes.
because we know we can deliver a
Exactly.
great product.
Yes.
But we want to make sure that they're going to be guided, they're going to feel great, and that they're going to love this,
Right.
to continue recommending to their next, family
Yeah.
and friends. And it just provides them a way better value to them overall.
Right.
And they got more of our attention, our time.
Oh, definitely.
That's the thing that we can't get back, is our time.
Yep. Yep.
And so when you invest into us, I give you my full focus, my full priority when it comes to your editing, comes to shooting. I have a wife and kids, but I have to make sacrifices. When somebody invests into me,
Right.
I'm going to take the time to make sure that, like, hey, this comes out absolutely perfect.
Exactly.
And they're not
give
gonna,
your 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say, like, when it comes to like ghosting, it almost kind of like motivates me a little bit more. Like when I get ghosted, it's like, okay, we weren't a perfect fit, but maybe I can be able to show more on my end so they can be able to get to know more the value and more the process that they didn't see. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that helps for future bookings, not maybe that bride.
Yes.
But
it just pushes you to elevate you. You know
exactly.
what I mean?
Yeah, yes.
For sure.
Yes. And I feel like that's really, really helped. And it's made me change my mindset of not being discouraged about it and being like, okay, this is going to motivate me even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Just use it as fuel.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anytime it happens, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's all right. We love it.
You're about to see 10 more stories coming up here
All
shortly.
right.
Who you missing? Me?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yes.
No, so
and
good.
It's so funny too, because some of them, they'll come back around and they'll be like, hey, I inquired like 3 months ago.
What?
And it's just, I had to try with someone. It didn't work out. And you're worth it. You're worth it. I see the value. I'm booking you. Like,
yeah.
There's never any regrets. Like,
Yeah.
never any regrets because of what you said. There comes to a point where you will see the vendors that prioritize the experience, and those are the vendors that you really want to be able to seek for your wedding day, because they treat it as if it is as just as important as you're treating it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Agree.
That's so good. Okay, what are some of your favorite trends happening in the beauty industry right now?
Okay, one that I hope does not end, and it's blush. Blush.
Oh,
I have blush
girl,
blindness.
preach. I love it.
Okay. I am a blush girly. I absolutely love blush. When my brides put on the inquiry that they are blush girlies, I'm like, yes,
You and me
me
both,
and you
girl.
align. Me and you align. Absolutely love blush. And I feel like it just makes more of like a classic like bridal look too. It gives like that such like angelic, glowy, ethereal like type vibe. I really love soft and full glam looks. That's usually what I do a lot more of, and what's posted throughout my page. I can do natural as well, but soft and full glam, that's where my heart skips extra beats, okay? So yeah, definitely like blushy, glowy. I love a really defined lip. So where the lip liner is a little bit darker and then the actual lipstick is a little bit lighter. So the lips look like super 3D, dimensional, juicy, kissable. Yeah. I
as they should be
love
on
it.
your wedding day,
As
period.
they should be on your wedding day. Yes. I love a mix too of like a hybrid brow, which is like in between like fluffy and defined.
Okay.
And I feel like it's more timeless too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I do get some brides that are really focused in on trends that are happening in the moment. So it's really important for me to be able to explain to them, hey, like, would you be open to being able to kind of make this trend a little bit more timeless?
Sure.
So usually it's kind of streaming back a little bit from whatever that trend is. So it's not going to, when you look back on when they look back on their photos, they're not going to be able to gauge exactly like the time period of when that was taken, Right. I definitely do have to be strategic and careful with the trends that my brides bring up of what they like. So for example, the blush across the nose, not really going to be able to look so timeless 5-10 years from now. You know what I'm saying? So that's
like a
usually
nice
where I have the
blush earring
conversation
now.
and just letting them know and informing them like, hey, 5 to 10 years from now, would you absolutely love that? Or would you be like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
What was I thinking?
Yeah.
So,
And I feel like I would so appreciate that too. I would be like, you get me. Like, it's your expertise. I'm going to listen to you.
Exactly.
And, like,
I'm like, I love that you love this right now, but is it, you know? And it's the same thing for like the blush and everything like that. Like the girls that absolutely like love blush, they're like, girl, I'm going to love it 5-10 years from now. I'm like, okay, girl. Like, then yes. If you've already been doing it for such a long time, then to you, it's timeless to you. Yeah. So, and it's basically what's timeless to that person too. So if they've always done a wing liner and that's been like their signature look, then I'm like, we have to do a wing liner on your wedding day. Like that is your look, you know?
Yeah. And that comes into like getting to know them too. Like you said, and doing that trial run.
Right.
And, like, I bet that's in your questionnaires too of like, what are your favorite makeup trends and stuff like that. And working into that.
Definitely. I had a bridal preview yesterday and my bride, she always wears like this glossy reddish lip. And she was sending me info of like nudes. And I'm like, are you wanting nude on your wedding day? And she was like, not really. I said, girl, we're going to have to do the red. Like, clearly you've been wearing this for years. Like, this is your signature. Like, this has to be your look. And she's like, it does. It honestly does. She's like, I really want to wear that lip. And I was like, girl, I'll make it happen. Like, let's make it happen. And let's build a look around this lip. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. It's like Taylor Swift. So her signature red lip. And if she's not a red lip, that would be scary.
Exactly. It's like, Taylor, are you okay?
Gen Z me, sorry. I apologize.
I love it though. But no, it's so true. Like, you know, it's iconic to her. And yeah, you like being a bride, you would want your look to be iconic to you. So me being someone's bridal makeup artist, that is what I love to be able to do is creating iconic looks for them.
Yeah, that's so good. I feel like we get blinded by trends and then we like forget who we actually are, what makes us us, and what makes us authentic and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So good. I love it.
I would say the service that I have added on, though, to be able to help elevate the experience of my brides is being able to stay on site with them after glamming them up until their ceremony to be able to do touch-ups.
Oh, I love that.
Yes. So that is something that I have added, and I have had literally the best time with my brides.
Yeah.
Add on bride touch-ups, please. It's an experience like no other. I feel like the experience that I give my brides is already like celebrity treatment, but this just takes it another level. Like oh my God. I would have to say like that is probably what makes it even more memorable for my brides, especially this year because I've added it for this year. And it's made our relationships just so much more stronger. Like we still talk till this day because of how close that we have gotten.
Yeah.
So what that pretty much looks like is after the glam happens, I will create a little set bag for them. So all the products that I used on the bride, all the main stuff, I'll put in a little tiny kit for them, and I'll pretty much help them get dressed from head to toe, put their earrings on, their dress, their shoes, all of it. There has been so many times where they're left alone to get dressed and they can't find anyone. And I'm like, girl, it's me and you. I'm helping you.
Let's go.
Let's get you in this dress. Let's get you married, you know? And they're like, thank you so much. Like, I don't know where anyone is right now. Like, I don't know where my mom is.
I'm alone.
I don't know where my mother is, you know? I don't know where, you know, my maid of honor is right now. And I'm like, girl, I got you. Let's do it. I got you, you know? And so, of course, these are moments that I don't share on social media because, you know, these are like private moments of like getting dressed and stuff, but it is something that just adds so much more to the experience, helping her put her fragrance on. There's been times boob tape, different things like, okay, we get very personal with each other, you know, to be able to help.
By the end of this.
Besties. She's like, I need help. You know, I'm like, I got you. I got you. Safety pinning things if we need.
Yes.
So yeah. And then I feel like first looks always happen, of course, after. So I will stay on standby for the first look. So usually I'm behind the camera and videographer to make sure like they got their moments because I don't want to be in the way of it. And the bride, you just never know if she's going to get emotional or not. You know, sometimes it might be like watery eyes. Sometimes it's a full on moment. So that is usually when I'm right there so she can live her full experience and moment with, you know, her dad or her groom, whoever it is. Maybe it's even a first touch, you know, those can get really emotional. And I will then pull the bride after the photographer and videographer capture those moments, and I'll touch her up like nothing ever happened.
Yeah, that's so nice. I feel like that makes me nervous as a bride too, because I'm always like, I'm such a crier.
Yeah.
It's like I'm gonna be so stressed
and it just
for that.
takes the anxiety away from my brides because they're like, oh my God, like I'm fine, like I got you. And then when it comes to the bridal portraits, like I help them with their veil, their dress, making sure it looks good in their photos. If there's something that's, you know, sticking on the side that's not looking right, I fix it. That way when the photographer's gonna get the shot, like everything is perfect. The bride doesn't have to worry about, I don't have a mirror, like do I look good? Like, look, I'm right there. I got you. So, and it's something that makes them feel so good, and it makes it such more of like a memorable moment for them too.
Sure. And they invest so much in it too. Like it's like you want it to stay, especially on such an emotional day. Like I'm gonna cry all the time. It's like all day on my wedding. I'm just gonna be like after my makeup's done, I'm gonna be like
It was such a joy to have you on the podcast.
Yes,
like
thank
our
you
conversations
so
were so insightful. You gave so much value. And I appreciate you the tips for content creation because I'm going to need them. And I need every single tip I can get from someone who's just killing it in the space. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah. I appreciate it so much.
Oh, so good.
You guys were awesome.
Alexandria, where can they find you?
You can be able to find me on Instagram, Lissett Luxe Makeup, LISSETTLUXE Makeup. That's usually where I post most of my, you know, videos, photos, everything like that. And then my website is LissettLuxeMakeup.com. It is linked in my Instagram bio. And yeah, I pretty much have everything linked there.
Perfect. Javi, where can they find you?
At sundial.creatives and www.sundialcreatives.com.
Yeah, check out his new website, Stat. And you can find me at Ashley Jade Photography LLC on Instagram and TikTok, and same thing for website. And then you can find us at the 2717 podcast on Instagram and TikTok. 27, the numbers, 17 spelled out. We'll catch you guys next time.
Let's go.
Bye.
Bye.